Hey guys, welcome to a new video. So today we're going to look at the meta that's kind of shifted this patch and into next patch as well, most likely getting more popular because it's actually going to be pretty good for AD carries, I think, but you wouldn't have thought so because it's a tank meta. It should be an interesting video just to see how the meta shifts in the game and how one small change can really make a big deal. But this time, as I said, I think the tank meta actually might be good for AD carries. I'm going to sum it up at the end of this video, so if you want a very quick, short version of this, then skip to that, check the description for a timestamp. So this all started with some locket buffs, right? That is going to mean the tanks come back a bit because they get this massive shield. Health stacking on tanks has already been pretty popular for a while, ever since the Gargoyle Stoneplay, but now it's even more overpowered than before. The meta isn't this right now, okay? People don't really realize how overpowered it is, but when you actually play against this, right, you will realize you cannot kill anybody and it's horrible. It's pretty much the Elite's rumble as a champion from the game as well, but tanks are easy wins right now. They enable damaged picks to do their job, right? They kind of cockblock the other damage picks on the other team, they absorb ganking junglers, and they abuse Locket to shut down damage. This time though, it's not about being impossible to kill for an AD. It doesn't really revolve around that. It's about like the AD on your team doing their job even better than before. Tank supports are also the ones that get us fed in the lane phase, right? Which means we carry earlier into the game, and that is when AD carries actually kind of become overpowered again. These tanks this time are more about helping their team. That Locket shield with Stoneplay is legitimately doubling an AD carry or mid laner's health total to start a fight. So getting into this and explaining it then, the Locket buffs mean that it now scales with your bonus health, right? So if you have more health, the shield is going to do more. Gargoyle Stoneplay was already really good on tanks, but now that plus Locket with like the 100% bonus HP actually scaling up the Locket shield as well, it means your team actually gets a 2000 plus shield. Knight's Vow is also very good, so just a quick mention on that, like it has good stats, but you heal for 12% of the damage your paired up partner does, and it soaks 12% of the damage they take. So because of that, we've kind of got two new types of tanks for now, I guess, like Bruiser ones who just stack health for the Titanic damage and Stoneplay, so the ones that kill you. And we have actual tanks who get Locket and Stoneplay, so the ones you can't really kill. These as well are kind of the really OP ones. By the way, Locket on tanks has about a 60% win ratio for most of them. Normal items are closer to 50% to put it into perspective, and Knight's Vow is very similar. Nunu, Zac, Sejuani, Sion like stacking HP to last forever, and those guys have been really strong this patch. The meta at the moment is earlier damage, right? So think Elise, Kha'Zix, Jarvan, stuff like that. So you have to get further ahead now as a damage pick. The Locket shield is ridiculous, right? Tanks are blocking your damage anyway, so how do you burst someone down? If you're going to pick someone like that, you have to snowball or you're going to fall off later, and that means they're worse than before. Like the Locket is going to add even more damage that they have to get through. Because of that, most people are going to opt for later game damage, and that is kind of where Cinderhulk and Titanic comes in. It's better as you get into the game and it makes you more useful. Armor Pen actually really sucks for an AD, I'm not going to lie, but crit is really good, and crit is what rips apart health tanks. We're not in an armor stacking meta, okay? We're in a health stacking one, and that's actually a good thing for us. That means AD players are going to have to play more late game builds or AD carries, so like Lucian with crit or Jhin with crit rather than Black Cleaver or Ghostblade. It's also about AD carries who can bring something a bit extra for their damage, so like Caitlyn headshots or Twitch's AoE ultimate, Jin's percentage missing health damage, or like AD carries that can get a lot of use out of big crits. Being immobile as well doesn't really matter anymore. It's so good for us. You've got double your health total to save you. It does mean though champions that relied on Sensor are worse now, so Kog'Maw, Kalista especially, even Jinx kind of as well. The thing with tanks is they kind of need somebody to protect or somebody behind them, right? Like Knight's Vow only works when you have someone doing a crap ton of damage. Locket is kind of the same thing. It's only good against damage, but with damage to actually protect. We're also seeing a lot more tank supports. They are much better, so they tend to be the ones that fight and roam more. Alistair, San, Blitz, Maokai, even Taric, Leona, Braum. These guys, the win rates have jumped up massively this patch because of Locket and the Night Vow buffs. Doran Shield also got nerfed, right? Which means we can go a bit more aggressive bot lane. We have a bit more fighting. So all of a sudden we're playing more late game AD carries, and we're actually getting fed more as well because we have these tank supports getting us kills. That means we're going to have more damage earlier into the game than normal, and as we said, that's kind of when AD carries become overpowered because they're not designed to do that much early. If you have this fed AD carry on your team, it means you have somebody to protect as a tank, right? But on their team, you can help control that AD before they get a lot of crit or arm pen. Crowd control is also worth a lot more like the Locket against damage damage picks, right? Which you can kind of kill while they are stunned or whatever. If you think about actually knocking somebody up. If you knock up a tank, it doesn't really matter. You knock up someone with 1,000 health, it does. It's also for damage picks on your team though, because they can free hit the enemy. They don't have anything to worry about, and it massively increases their damage output. So that's pretty much going to be the meta, and mid lane is mostly unaffected. I think we have these mages. They're going to be good mid game. Locket maybe reduces the amount that you can do as an AoE mage, but honestly, I think it's going to stay pretty much the same. Now, basically, to sum it up, if you skip this far or you're still here through the video, the tank meta is definitely coming back with Locket and Gargoyle's Stoneplate. You can double an AD carry or mid laner's health at the start of a fight. It's ridiculous, but it's probably going to make AD carries overpowered again. It's a health stacking tank meta this time around, not armor, and that means we can deal with it when we have to play against it, but it is a dream when you're playing with it. It's basically like playing with an Ivan, but on steroids. Night Vow is 12% less damage that you take. Locket is a 2,000 health shield, and the later games mean you have more chance to get items, and it doesn't matter if your lane phase is bad. If the game is going later, we also want decent late game crit AD carries, or just crit builds on people like Lucian or Jhin. Tank supports and the Doran shield nerfs means more fighting bot lane, more chance to get those crit items earlier and carry earlier. When AD carries do get items and go quicker, that is when they tend to get to like the overpowered level that everybody hates. The game is also going to revolve around team fights more with tanks in it and crowd control and engage and stuff. That is where an AD carry actually shines, so it is perfect for them. Now, hopefully you found this interesting. I didn't want to make it too long or anything. It makes sense. Feel free to ask anything or let me know if you disagree in the comments, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.